This episode of Off My Shelf contains coarse language and adult conversation. Listener discretion is advised. Hello, my name is Tracy James, and welcome to Off My Shelf, a podcast about movies that are well off my shelf, where we go through my DVDs and talk about the movies in my collection. In this episode, Austin Wong joins me talking about two classic 80s movies with Return to Oz and Romancing the Stone. Welcome!
Hello, Tracy.
It has been a while.
It has. Too long, I would say.
Much too long, and surprise, surprise, you're back here, and it's technically the Valentine's Day episode again. What?
Oh my God,
What?
it is too. That's hilarious. I did not even think of that, but
I only thought about that today when I was just like, wait, when is this episode coming out? I'm like, oh my God, this is the Valentine's Day episode again. What is going on? It happens every single time.
I love this. I love this tradition, this inadvertent tradition. I feel like I should always be a Valentine.
I think so. I accept this for sure. If you ever pick movies that are not in this time period, I'm moving you. I'm sorry. It's gonna happen.
I think you should. I remember the first time we did this too. It was live in person, and you fed me cinnamon hearts.
Yes, I did. I used to, well, that was the thing. I always had candy around and I was like feeding it to people.
Yeah.
And now I never have candy around because nobody comes over anymore. And it's so sad.
That is sad. It is sad.
It's okay. I just eat candy by myself while I'm watching the movies to prepare for this. It's okay. It's okay. We'll make it. We'll make it. But yeah. So quick question. Have you ever watched Return to Oz or Romancing the Stone before?
Now, that is a good question that you're asking me for this episode, because in the past, I've always seen the movies because I'm always telling you, oh, I love this movie. I love this movie. This particular episode, I chose it because I have seen Romancing the Stone. I love Romancing the Stone. It's like one of my favorite 80s movies. But I have never seen Return to Oz before this.
Okay, thank you. Because so when I was younger, I saw this movie. Like when I say younger, I was like 10 or something when I first saw this movie. And literally, besides my brother, who would have watched it with me, nobody had ever seen this movie. They're like, it doesn't exist. You're a crazy person. And then here comes the internet, and here comes IMDb, and here comes Google. And I'm here searching for this movie, find out it exists. And then one day I'm like, I don't know, somewhere it's in a bin. And I was like, it exists. It's real. And I watched it. And I felt the same terror I did when I originally saw it when I was 10 years old. Yep. And I love it. That's all I say.
Okay, that's a great story, because like I feel like it is a sort of under the radar kind of 80s movie. And it was like talking to my husband and go, what movies are you doing for this? And I told him, and he was like, Return to Oz. And he said, how are you going to watch that? Like that. And I was like, at the time, I didn't realize it was so obscure. I said, this is like Oz, isn't this like a massive property? It should be easy to find. It was easy to find. It's on Disney Plus, but
now, yeah.
I don't think he'd seen it either. So I was surprised, because I mean, it's a pretty big property. I'm surprised it didn't have a bigger push.
Yeah, like I knew it was well, because I had the DVD, so I knew it was a Disney property because it says Walt Disney Return to Oz right on the case. But I was still shocked they actually had it on Disney Plus. Like I was fully prepared to be like, Austin, I got to bring this to you to watch this because it doesn't exist anywhere. I was fully prepared to have to do that. But I was really glad it was just like easy. It's like, it's available. You can just stream it. It's all good. And but yeah, like I still the majority of people I know that are my age have never heard of it and have never seen it. So,
well, I feel like, having watched it, I actually really liked it. I feel like I like dark fantasy kind of kid movies, but if it was really trying to attract 10-year-olds or whatever, it feels to me, and I'm saying this as an adult, but I feel like it's too scary for kids. Like I was watching it, and my daughter Maddie was in the basement, and I debated seeing if she wanted to watch it with me, but she's not really into movies right now. She only wants to watch like short form stuff. But I was watching it, and I kind of knew she would be too scared. Like I feel like that movie, it's really, I think, well done. It's interesting. Like I like that there's, I think, very creative bad guys that come in their path, very creative challenges they have to get through, and the threats are kind of interesting, and it moves quite quickly for an 80s movie, especially. But they're pretty scary. Like I feel like I don't know. Do you
Well,
want to get into the details?
no, yeah, no, I absolutely agree with you. It's I even watching it now, like I remember the fear I had when I originally watched this. I was like, because my parents would have put it on because they're like, no, this is a Disney movie. It's for kids. Have a go at it. You
Yeah.
just watched it, right?
And the original is such a classic, right? And
Yeah,
everybody, yeah.
exactly. And like even watching it now, and I was like, yeah, I'm still scared of that thing. That thing's still creepy. Oh my God. Like
Even
it's
the good
crazy.
guys are kind of creepy.
Yeah,
Like,
they all are. Yeah, they really
well,
all are.
can
Yeah.
we just start with the beginning though? Like for a lighthearted, I mean, I would say The Wizard of Oz is a pretty lighthearted movie, even though as a kid I remember when we were watching on TV, I was terrified when she's trapped in the tower and that hourglass is counting down. Like the stress of it, even though nothing really visually awful is happening, just the worry for her, I found scary. But other than that, it's quite a joyous movie in lots of ways with the Munchkins and the discovery and everything. This movie, it picks up, and poor Dorothy is somewhat catatonic, and right away she's shipped off to some mental institution, tied down to a gurney, and about to be subjected to electroshock therapy. And you can hear the screams of damaged patients that are locked in the cellar. Like, what fresh hell is this? Like, I was shocked that this is how this movie begins. Like,
Yeah, it fully starts like a horror movie, like a proper horror movie. Like
yeah,
she's gonna be in this asylum and Oz is gonna appear and it's murderers or something, which kind of is what happens. But
it
it
is
is
what
much
happened.
creepier. It is so much creepier than you would ever think it would be,
Yeah.
especially for a kids movie.
And actually psychotic humans. Like we're not even in Oz, and there's these two creepy adults that want to basically torture this girl. Like,
Yes. Yeah, and they seem to be looking forward to it. And even the scene where like the doctor is really being nice to Aunt Em and trying to show her, is like, no, we're gonna take care of her in like a good way. And here's the machine we're gonna use. And look, it looks like it has a face and it's
yeah,
pointing out the features and stuff. And it's like, you're gonna have a great time. I was like, what is happening here? It's
I
crazy.
it's crazy. And I was like, Aunt M, what the like? How are you doing this? Like, how are you surrendering your child to this nut job? It seemed like a crazy thing. Anyway, I that whole beginning I found was incredibly dark, and even like to 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 save themselves, they jump into an overflowing river, and it looks like one of the girls just drowns because we never see her again until I guess the end. But it was like
Yes.
I was this is pretty dark, and I was glad I didn't bring Maddie up when
Yeah,
I was watching that.
it's very dark, it's very intense. Actually, I would say the whole movie is that, even like the quote unquote whimsical moments in the movie have like this dark undertone to it that you're just like,
Well,
what?
agree. I
Because
don't even
yeah,
think this movie has as much whimsical moments because I think the whole movie is pretty dark. Like
yeah,
the whole movie, like she ends up realizes she's in Oz somehow, thankfully, and immediately says, "We can't touch the sand or we'll die and turn into sand." Like that's the
yes,
very first thing. And
yeah,
then she shows up and the yellow brick road is completely dilapidated. The Emerald City is in ruins. Like this is a very grim movie. And then
yeah.
all of the people are turned to stone.
And she finds the dancers with their heads cut off,
The head's cut off. It
and
was
then yeah,
yeah.
and then the wheelers show up, and it's this creepy rolling sound that reminds you of the gurney from the asylum, and you're just
Yes.
like, what
And the
is
Wheelers are
happening?
very malevolent looking, like they're very instantly evil.
Yes, very instantly evil. Like you see them and you're just like, that can't be good.
No.
There's nothing good about this
And
at
that kind of
all.
Joker like kind of maniacal laugh kind of situation.
Mhm.
Yeah, it's scary. And then I feel like it gets even worse because she goes to that castle for the princess.
Yeah.
There is a hall of heads. There is a hall of disembodied heads. And then there's a scene where this headless woman gets up and menaces people, and all of the heads in the cabinet start screaming. I was like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was like that was like a true horror scene. It felt like it
Well,
was.
even before that scene, like when you first get into the hall with the heads, she switches heads. So there's a scene where she like takes off her head
Yeah.
and her headless body walks to another head in a cabinet, opens it and puts a head on again. And you're just
And
like, what
yeah,
is happening?
and the
Yeah.
heads all seem to be conscious the whole time, kind of
Yeah.
watching her, and so they're kind of trapped in their little boxes until she decides to wear them out.
Yeah. And then the new head says Dorothy's really pretty, but she's too young, so I'm gonna lock her upstairs until you're old enough and then I'll take your head.
Yeah, I'm going to lock you in
What?
a tower until your head grows big enough, and then I'm going to chop off your head.
Yeah. Yeah. He goes, what? And now this is what, 15 minutes into the movie?
Yeah.
This something like
Well,
that?
it's ridiculously dark. I mean, these are
Yes.
mortal threats constantly. I think it's a little further than 15 because we've already seen her, like we've already had her escape from the Wheelers, who said that they're going to rip her piece by piece.
Oh, that's right. They do that, don't they? Oh
They
my
say they're
gosh.
going to rip her apart.
Yeah.
Like this is graphic threats, not
Yeah.
like falling asleep in a poppy field or
Yeah.
some unnamed threat that happens when the timer runs out. It's like we're gonna
Yeah.
shred you.
Yeah, you're not finding munchkins who are giving you candy and a
Yeah,
really pretty princess shows up and
no,
give you
there are
magic
no
shoes.
munchkins. There's
No.
nothing but, and so the new versions of her friends are obviously like the Tin Man is obviously the new version of the Tin Man
TikTok.
and of TikTok,
Yeah.
yeah. And the Mechanical Man, TikTok,
Mhm.
is like the new version of it. And then I guess in a way, like, and then I would say Jack Pumpkinhead is kind of like the new Scarecrow because he's made of sticks and things. And
Yes.
he's quite terrifying looking, like this tall, lanky thing with a big pumpkin head. And
Yes.
my husband, because he was in and out, said apparently Jack Skellington is modeled after Jack Pumpkinhead from Return to Oz.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
That makes sense, actually, now that I think about it.
So apparently Tim Burton has said that
Mhm.
that's the inspiration for Jack Skellington.
I will also give you another piece of trivia about Jack in this. Jack is actually voiced by Jim Henson's son, Brian Henson.
Really?
Yes. Yeah.
That's cute. I kind
But
of liked his voiceover. The other thing about Jack, so he looks, I think, kind of creepy, even though he's got, that voice, which is a friendly, boyish voice, kind of compensates for it. But I thought it was creepy that he wanted to call little Dorothy mom.
yes. Hmm. Yeah. I was just like, is it okay if I call you mom? And happy, happy, happy. She was wrong. She's like, yeah, that's cool. I'm like, is it
Is
though?
it?
I don't. I disagree. Um,
Uh,
I can't call him a grown man, but I'm just like a weird giant pumpkin head dude wants to call me mom. I'd be like,
maybe not. Maybe let's.
yeah, or let's talk about it later or something. Like, not right now. We're in the middle of escaping this possible torture chamber, to get out of here with our lives.
And then they build that moose head,
Yeah.
Gump.
The gump, the tied a moose head to two sofas
Yeah,
and gave it palm tree wings and brought
just
it
to
to
fly.
life.
And
Yes.
then he's all like, "Well, I don't think I'm going to be alive for much longer because I don't think you put together me very well."
Look, at least he's honest. I
Yeah.
just gotta say he's honest, you know.
The trick of this movie is like the content is very dark, like so much threat and dark and death and all that kind of thing. But the characters' delivery of their lines just keep it we're a children's movie still.
Mhm.
Like
Yes, they do. Well, they it's not even that they keep it at a children movie level. They keep it at well, how can I describe it? At like they inject a humor in a sensible way.
yeah.
It's like the chicken, for example, is like around and she's just dropping comments, right?
I know.
Like they went to right at the beginning, they go to like the lunch pail tree and like she pulls out a sandwich, she's like, I'm real happy it wasn't fried chicken. You're
Yeah,
like, okay, that
exactly. She's like this sassy chicken.
yeah.
So
Which showed up out of nowhere, which I thought was very odd, but she
they
was very necessary to the story. I guess they couldn't figure out how to get the chicken there.
No, but she was sort of like the Toto, like she was the replacement for Toto because Toto
Yes,
wasn't there, so the chicken is the pet. But I just think the word chicken in of itself is sort of a funny word. Like whenever somebody says chicken, it just the way it looks, the way it sounds, I just think it's an inherently silly word. It just sounds
it
funny to me.
is. I absolutely agree with you. Yeah.
So it's like there's a scene early on that made me cackle out loud. It was like
Okay.
the Rock was talking to the Gnome King, and the servant Rock says, "She has a chicken with her," and then the Gnome King goes, "A chicken?" The heavy meaning and weight assigned to the word chicken in the delivery was just I thought it was very funny. I laughed
Well,
longer
I
than I should have.
well, it because it's in a position in the movie where you have no idea why anybody would be scared of a chicken, and they say this like, like it's the most horrendous massacres coming their way or something. And you're just like, he said chicken, right? He said chicken. Why are they so scared of chicken? I
Exactly.
mean, it works out later in the story why it makes sense and blah blah blah. But at the same time, at that point in time, you're just like,
Yeah.
he's scared of a chicken.
You
Like
know
that's
that
all you
there's
get.
some reason, and so I knew that I'm glad there was a payoff to the whole chicken thing, but
Yes. Yeah.
I thought that was pretty funny.
I mean, it took a long time to get there. You don't get there until the very end of the movie.
Yeah.
But yes, it pays off because if that line did not pay off, I would have been so confused.
But yeah,
Just
even if it hadn't paid off, I would have maybe even loved it more because it was so random. So let's talk about what happens when they get out of the head the headless woman's castle, and so they end up
yeah.
at the big finale place, like the Rock, the mountain.
So this book is actually still like based on what's the writer's name? Uh,
Frank
Ba-
Baum.
Frank L. Baum. Yeah, he's the writer of like The Wizard of Oz that the movies are based off of, and apparently this is one of the other books.
It's
Is
two
what
of the
this?
books. It's apparently Land of Oz and Ozma of Oz.
Oh, really? So it's
It's,
two books in here.
it's two
Okay.
books.
Yeah, so I didn't know any of that. I just assumed some writers in the room like, what can we do next? And they came up with this. I didn't realize there were more books. I never read the books in school. I'm
Neither.
sorry.
Neither.
Also, I have to admit, the original Wizard of Oz movie, I've maybe seen once in my life.
Seriously?
Seriously.
Really?
And I don't even think I saw all of it in one sitting. It was like a piece here, a piece there, a piece here.
Oh
I have
wow.
definitely watched this movie many more times than the original Wizard
That's
of Oz, and also The Wiz a lot more times than The Wizard of Oz.
that's really interesting. Like I wow. I have to see The Wiz again. I remember watching it once.
Hmm.
I remember
I
the subway scene.
God, that subway scene scares me.
It
It
still
still
scares me.
scares me.
Like, and the noise they made as the poles kind of came out with
Yeah.
the whatever.
And those things hunting them get bigger and bigger and
Yes,
bigger, and
yes, yeah. Oh, I need
it's
to
a whole
watch.
thing. Yes.
It is a whole thing. But I'm genuinely shocked you haven't watched the whole. Wow, because it's such a classic. Like The Wizard of Oz is such a classic. I feel like
Yeah.
I don't know why. I feel like it was on TV all the time, and I just watched it a lot.
Really? I see, but that my thing is I don't find it was on TV all the time.
Hmm.
And like as I got older, and I was like, do I have to, I mean, I know what the story is. Do I have to watch this? I've seen the I'm melting, I'm melting. I've seen that stuff, you know.
Oh, what a world! What a world!
Yeah. I've heard the asbestos snow story, I heard about the Tin Man, the guy who played him getting all kinds of cancer and stuff from the
Oh
paint.
no.
I've heard all the stories. Do I need to watch this? And apparently my answer is no, because I haven't.
I
But
maybe
I
you
think at
should
some point in time I
now.
should.
Maybe
Well,
you should.
yeah, I actually agree with you because I think like the way you're describing how whimsical, like I knew the original was whimsical, don't get me wrong, but for some reason I keep feeling that it's there's a darkness to it like this movie, like not as
Not as dark.
intense,
It's not as
but
dark.
definitely not as dark. So,
The other thing is, it's it's not quite a full-blown musical, but there's musical numbers,
Yeah.
right? Like she sings "We're off to find the wizard," and there's
Mm-hmm.
whole all the songs in Munchkin Land, and like it's more like a musical kind of, Technicolor old school musical with dance numbers. So like they just naturally have a bit of a energy and a lift to them,
Yes. Yeah.
which this movie has no music, no musical numbers and no happy creatures. Like everybody is quite
Distraught in some
evil
way.
or
Yes.
upset. Yeah.
Yeah, all the music in here is very ominous and,
Yeah.
scary. They're like, "Oh, here you're at the asylum," like, bah, bah, bah,
Yeah.
it's that kind of
Which, to
thing.
be honest, now, like these days, that's my favorite kind of thing. I love ominous music. I love suspense. I love things that sort of inch towards horror, if not. And I do like horror movies, except I'm such a chicken. I watch them through my hands. So movies that kind of are horror adjacent and not quite there, I really like that. And so this is the kind of movie that I feel I would have appreciated as a kid if I had my sensibility now.
Yeah. Yeah, because it's not the thing about it's dark, but it's not like bloody
No.
or actively violent. Like there's not a lot of like people stabbing each other or anything. You're just running for your life, which I don't know if
I
that's
mean,
much
the
better,
threat
but
of violence here, I still think is pretty graphic, like being ripped limb by limb or having your head chopped off or anything like that. But again, like the characters respond to these threats in such a matter of fact way. And like, so like, look at the end. So the end, they get to this mountain, and I found the stop motion plasticine animation of the rocks to be
amazing. I loved
charming.
it. Yeah.
Yeah, because like you can tell what's happening, but I thought it was very charming because you can see what's happening. It was so consistent, and I just thought it looked good. I liked it. I thought it was fun.
Yeah. It
But
aged. The thing is about it is that it aged really well because
yeah,
it's very clear that yes, of course it's not real and it's not like CG or anything, but it's like hand done animation and it just
yeah,
looks good still.
it looks great, and it looks like fantasy kind of world. Like it
Mhm.
looks alternate reality or whatever. But I feel like I really liked that sequence also because the Gnome King, the big rock mountain king, is definitely set up to be the evil person. Like he's kind of plotted their downfall. He's kidnapped Scarecrow and everything. But I thought they did a pretty good job of kind of making him that kind of menacing thing that tries to look friendly with that like big booming voice,
Yeah.
but is actually really evil, which I
Yeah.
feel like, which is even more disturbing because he kind of gains your trust, and then to the point where you can think you could like him, but then he still wants to kill you, and he kills you with a smile on his face,
Yeah.
which I thought was interesting.
Yeah, well, you don't really you see the minion a bunch of times, but you don't really see him until the very end when she gets to the mountain.
Right.
And then, so up until that point, he's just like this ominous figure. You've never seen him. You don't know what he looks like. And you're just like, oh, that's clearly the bad guy. Clearly the bad guy. And then she gets to the mountain and you see him, but he's smiling and he's being really nice and polite. And he's like,
And he actually
don't
says,
worry
"What
about
can
it.
I?" He actually says, "What can I do to make you happy?"
Yes, and he's like winning her over. And because of that, she agrees to something without really understanding what the consequences are going to be. And that's where the threat comes in again, where you're just like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Ah, yeah.
But it's also like he's so nonchalant about it. Like when she first meets up with Scarecrow for like 2 seconds, and she's so happy to see him, and Scarecrow's happy to see her, and then he disappears, and then the king says, she goes, "What happened?" He goes, "I turned him into an ornament," and he seems very fine with it. And it's like,
Yeah.
and then yeah, that challenge that you speak of, where he says, "If you guess which one, then I'll let you go." And I guess that's my lawyer brain. I'm like, well, what happens if you don't? Ask what happens if you don't. And of course, she does not ask. But
Yeah.
and then the fact that one by one they keep guessing and they have to guess, and they're not choosing correctly, so they're all turning into ornaments. Like it's a pretty dark sequence again because it's quite drawn out. Like
Mhm.
each friend goes in there and they're worried they're not going to come back, and they have like these little farewells, like they're going to their death, and like that Jack Pumpkinhead says, "It's okay. I mean, it's probably worse for you because you know what it's like to live and to do things, and I'm already dead." Or like, it's a grim kind of
Yeah.
goodbye.
Yeah.
And
They really thought they were like, well, I suck, so I guess this is it for me.
yeah,
Yeah.
And
And
I mean, if I'm a kid, if I'm at all attached to these characters, I think I'd be freaking out.
yeah. And then that's kind of what you feel. You more feel for Dorothy than what's happening to the characters
Yeah,
themselves
yeah,
because you see her getting sadder and more worried.
yeah.
And
And
Fruga
you also see her
Salt,
being more alone.
yeah, and she's very good at having that like big watery eyes that you're just like she's gonna cry, but she like holds it together.
Yeah.
Um and it's just, yeah, it's just a very, I forgot how intense that
Yeah.
like moment was,
And they
where
have no
she is there by
options. They have
herself.
no escape. They have to go in there and probably die. That's
Yes.
their only option.
Hmm. And that's it. Yeah. Luckily, she starts winning, which is good.
Yeah.
But, as soon as she does start to win, that's when you see the Gnome King change his attitude, where he
Yeah.
does start becoming that clearly violently evil being, and bringing brimstone and destroying everything around her and the
And
fire and
trying to eat them alive.
yeah, which is also incredibly scary. You're just like,
That was an
what?
incredibly horrific image for a kid to watch
Yeah.
when he's plucking them up and this dangling them as they're screaming no and then just trying to eat them. But like before he even gets there, I thought it was quite disturbing that every time one of the friends dies and turns into an ornament, he got more and more human. And I guess that's his goal. But until he announces that, I remember like he was just plasticine and then he's mostly plasticine, but he had human eyes. And I thought that was really creepy. Like
Yeah.
this whole rock creature that's just clearly sort of clay rock, or even if it is rock, with these glistening human eyes set inside the rock.
Yeah.
Also, I think quite a creepy image.
Yeah. And then the next time you see him, he's just like this guy with like caked on makeup all over
Yeah.
his face. It just looked like
Less
he's had
scary.
like a mud mask on. And you're just like, when you get out of the mud tub, you gotta wipe that off. That's what I
He actually, when he was like in the more human form, like I think he looked like the old Burger King mascot. All I could think of
Yes.
when is like, oh my God, Burger King's gone evil. Like it's evil rock Burger King.
I believe it. I mean, he served what? It was limestone cupcakes and molten silver or
Molten
something.
silver.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I love that. I love how Dorothy's looking at the cup and she's like, I'm gonna put this down now.
Yeah, I'm gonna pass.
That's I'm fine. Everything's good. Yeah. Yeah, no, the movie just has some really cool like images in it.
Yeah.
But like I said, they're horrific. Like the part where okay, so we talked about the chicken, but what happens is the Gnome King eats an egg, and apparently gnomes he's allergic to eggs. And literally he's like starts to disintegrate and fall apart. And though at this point he's rocks essentially, I'm looking at this, I'm just like, you show this to children? What
Yeah.
is
And
wrong with you?
and even that whole scene building up to that scene where like she starts to win, so he says, "Fuck this game, screw this game. I'm just gonna tear the roof off and just kill you outright instead of doing it because you're making bad choices." And then they're trying to run away, and he sicks all of his little minion gnomes on them, and the minion gnomes are just like plasticine rock creatures, and they are pretty scary. I mean, they're plasticine rock creatures, but they're made to look like these really evil things with mouths and evil eyes, and they're reaching out for them. And like, for a kid, like it's the equivalent of all the bodies popping out of the ground in Poltergeist or something. Or
Yes, I
it's
agree.
like,
I agree. Yeah.
yeah, it's like all of these things coming out of the walls trying to attack the poor heroes. And I think that would have been very scary for
Yeah.
me as a kid.
Well, even just before that, like, so when he starts this contest and he points and a doorway appears, but it's hands coming
Yes.
out of the wall, just like digging this hole in the
Yeah,
wall.
digging it open. Yeah.
That is what?
Yeah. It was a very cool effect,
What?
though.
It was a very cool, but it really reminded me of, so in Labyrinth where Jennifer Connelly's hair, she like falls down like a hole in the floor or whatever, but there's like hands all over the place.
Oh,
It
right.
just
Yeah.
reminded me of that scene. And when she starts talking to the hands and the hands make like a
Yeah.
face,
Yeah.
yeah, and they start talking, it just reminded me of that. And I just had this shiver. I was like,
Yeah.
oh, like, no, like
That is a
what?
good reference. That was a very brilliant scene. Very creepy, but very practical.
Yeah, but I found it had the very same, maybe it's just because it's a bunch of hands, but it had the very same feel to it in my mind, like when I was watching it. And even after all these years, I have the exact same reaction, which is just like, no, I
Yeah.
gotta go. No, I don't like this. This is not working for me.
In a lot of ways, Labyrinth is very similar to this movie. Like they're the same kind of genre. Like brave little girl goes into creepy land and has to escape.
Yeah, from some horrible, omnipotent
Yeah.
king royalty thing.
Who
Yes.
kind of plays with them and has got this imperious kind of manner and is kind of goofy and charismatic enough that you might think he's kind of charming, but he still wants to kill you.
Yes. Exactly. Yeah. Yeah. It's uncomfortable to say the least.
Yes.
You know.
I so the scene with the chicken. So when not Jack said Jack Pumpkinhead, and then like the big hand, the way it's shot to the hand reaches towards the camera and then grabs him by the legs and he's screaming and it shows him being dangled over the big gnome king's open mouth and at this point Jack Pumpkinhead is screaming, "Mom, Mom, save me, Mom!"
Yeah.
And Dorothy is freaking out. I thought this is very disturbing. But I did think it was hilarious that there's a chicken in the pumpkin this
Yeah.
whole time, and that turns out to be the solution. That she gets so scared, she pops out an egg, and the egg kills the gnome king. I mean, it's almost a what is that term, Deus Ex Machina, where the solution comes out of the sky? Except that
The ex machina.
yeah, that's it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But they set it up
Mhm.
better.
Well, yeah, right at the beginning of the movie when, she's a regular chicken, she's not laying eggs.
Yes.
And even Dorothy at that point says, if you don't start laying eggs, Aunt Em's gonna chop you up for dinner.
Gonna make
And
you stew.
yeah, as they do. And I was like, even there's like right at the beginning, there's a threat of this violence coming out immediately.
Yeah. It's all
And
the yeah.
yeah, and all I can think about is the one time my grandmother killed a chicken in front of me when I was younger.
Oh my God.
So, well, I'm from an island. I'm from Trinidad, and it wasn't unusual or whatever. So she had chickens in the yard, and one day we were in the kitchen. She was talking to me. She had a chicken. She just kept talking, slit the throat, rang it in a circle, took off the head, started plucking at it, and I was just standing there like, I don't know what you're saying. I am freaking out. I don't know what is happening.
How
Um,
old were you?
Probably about 5 or 6.
Oh my God.
Yeah. Well, I mean, it was normal. Like,
Yeah.
I mean, she had cooked for me many, many times. I guess I'd just never seen the
Yeah.
very beginning part of this, or maybe this is just a time that's stuck in my brain. But
Well, I
I
can
did
imagine it would be
not eat
stuck in my
chicken for a
brain
while.
too.
Yeah.
No.
Yeah.
Like, well, that's so interesting. And I remember in this movie, the very first scene with Dorothy and that chicken, she's walking by, and I remember the framing of the shot is she's talking to the chicken and walking by this stump with a huge axe in it. And I kept thinking, is this axe going to come into play? Is she about to kill this chicken? Like, but it's just sort of there symbolically as sort of this threat of death, I suppose.
Yes, yeah. The threat of this danger that'll happen if you
Yeah,
don't do what you're supposed to do, which kind of is the thing that ends like forces her to be in the asylum in the first place. It's because it begins with her, I guess it's relatively soon after the big tornado. She's come back from Oz
it's been 6 months
and
or
it's
something.
been, yeah, and she's apparently just not sleeping. And she's useless to her aunt in the morning because she hasn't been sleeping. And I was like, is that the only reason? Maybe, mental health or something. But I guess that didn't exist at the
No,
turn of the century. I don't know.
but electroshock therapy did.
Yes, yeah. But I mean, like, because even at the beginning too, I was thinking to myself, I'm like, you're taking your kid for electroshock therapy? That's crazy. But
Yeah,
also, I'm like, at the turn of the century, you didn't know what was out there. You were trying something new. You were trying to pick the best thing for this kid. And I was like, you know what? I'm not going to hold this against you, but also don't do it again.
Yeah. So, you know what? That's an interesting thought because the ending. So, at the end, she saves everybody by, well, the egg saves everybody, and then they run away, and then all the Oz people are happy and they want to stay for Queen. And then the girl that was in the asylum with her mysteriously that helped her escape, who we thought drowned or just disappeared, turns out is Ozma, the Queen of Oz, who was trapped by the headless woman in the castle
Yeah.
and then was released when Dorothy set everything right. So then she shows up and becomes the queen and puts on the red slippers and then sends Dorothy back home. Now, that scene where it's very similar to the first movie, where it's like they all want her to stay and she feels loved and she's got all these friends there in this weird kooky place. And then she goes, no, I have to go home. Now, in the first movie, it made so much sense because she loved Auntie M, she loved Toto, she loved her friends, she had a very happy life, and she missed them, and she just felt like she couldn't be away from Auntie M because Auntie M loved her so much. In this movie, Auntie M fucking sent her to a mental institution to get, electroshock therapy, and I don't think she had any friends. Like she didn't really. No one was visiting her. Like she's just been trapped in this house. Like I was like, what do you have? What's waiting for you, girl? Like, why don't you stay in Oz? Like, you've got nothing to lose. Like, your aunt probably just thinks you're still at the hospital.
Yeah.
And I kind of thought you should just stay. In this case, I don't think they've really presented a really valid reason for you to go home. It doesn't feel like there's no place from home, like home for you. But she does go home. And I thought it was sort of hilarious in a terrible way that she shows up and everything has wrapped up. Lightning struck the evil asylum. It burned to the ground. Everybody escaped except for the evil doctor. And then the evil woman somehow is being carted away in a jail cell. And Auntie M tells her all of this so she doesn't have to go back. But there's no trace of remorse from Auntie M as she's saying this, that she sent her daughter to this horror show of a hospital that got burned to the ground. And she's all like, well, it burned to the ground. Let's go home now. Like, I was like, you could apologize.
Yeah, you could say I'm really sorry for sending you to this horrible place.
Yeah.
Which also, because at first I was just like, why did they like arrest this nurse woman when this place burnt down? Like that doesn't make any sense to me.
Yeah. How did they
Then
know?
yeah, but then I remember at the beginning, just before they were escaping, so Dorothy asked the girl helping her escape, like I heard screaming earlier, what was all of that? And she said, what did she say? She's like,
She said they're
uh,
damaged patients that are
yeah,
locked in
they're
the
the
basement.
basement. So I have a feeling the place burnt down and they found many more bodies than they should have.
Yes.
And that's why she got arrested. And but the doctor died in the fire or whatever.
Trying to save his
We
mission.
quote unquote, we think, you
We
know.
think.
But yeah, like I think the reason why they didn't explain it is because they're just like, well, maybe we've crossed a line. Maybe that's too dark
It
to
is a bit dark
explain.
to say all those poor people that they damaged and locked forever in a basement and then died in a fire. It's
Yeah.
too much.
Well, because it's the real world, making it more permanent than if it was in
Yes.
Oz. So
Yes.
they're just like, nah, it's the real world. We're not gonna say that. She's gonna go home and the house is magically built. She has her own room now, so everything is fine.
Well, I thought it was interesting too on this note that so Auntie M brings her home. She's upstairs. She opens not opens, she looks at the mirror and sees Ozma, the queen or whatever, and the chicken who decided to stay. And they're talking, and she's like, "Oh, I have to show my aunt," and they're all like, "No, no, no, they can't know about us." So she hides it, and I had two thoughts. One was, and then Auntie M comes in and goes, "Lower that mirror," and then Dorothy sort of nervously lowers it, but nothing's there, and then Auntie M looks still so concerned. Like I kind of hand it to the commitment to this movie that there's no happy ending for them even at the end because
Mhm.
it's not the cherished homecoming that the Wizard of Oz original was. It's like Auntie M thinks this girl is cuckoo and still thinks she is probably
Yeah.
that way. And
Well,
like
because she wasn't fixed at the hospital. Like she didn't get the treatment she was supposed to get. Right.
And she's still staring at the mirror, and I bet this woman heard her talking to the mirror or something, because then she looks still concerned as Dorothy leaves the room, and Auntie Em looks really like worried still.
Mhm.
And part of me is like, this still could be some sort of thing on mental health, really, because maybe she is imagining this whole thing and like
Yeah.
she's knocked on the head and they keep finding her after she's run off. That's not the intent of the movies, but I mean, you could make that argument.
Well, I mean, when you put it that way, that reminds me of the even more horrific movie Pan's Labyrinth,
Oh, God, yeah.
which is there's a balance between, wait a second, is this girl really seeing these otherly people? Is there really another realm that she's a queen of? Or is she just losing her mind because the Nazis are around her and she's dead at the end of the movie and we just want to pretend she made it to where she needed to be?
I think she's dead.
Yeah.
And she's like that movie is like the real Wizard of Oz in a way.
Essentially, exactly, that's exactly what it is.
Yeah.
Which is the sad part. And I feel like Return to Oz and Pan's Labyrinth are just like they're just like 40 years apart. So,
Yeah.
this is just like this is the magical world another girl decided to escape to. But,
Yeah.
Oz is a little different now.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
That's
yeah.
true. It is similar to that movie. I forgot about them. I found Pan's Labyrinth to be so disturbing. I was like, people were like praising it. I was expecting this kind of fun, sort of dark fantasy, and it was way too much realness, and it was too depressing. Like I found it was I've never watched that movie again.
Yeah, I've managed to watch it twice. The second time I watched it, I was like, that's enough.
Yeah.
Because I too was just expecting like I mean, not as childish as Return to Oz, but just like a dark fantasy movie. I actually didn't expect it to really take any kind of place in the real world. I expected the
Right.
beginning maybe, and then the very end, but everything in between fantasy world.
Yeah.
Whereas it was her being going back and forth with all of this torture in the real world happening,
Yeah.
and then the torture of some of the creatures happening too. And I was like,
Yeah.
this is a lot,
It was a
you know,
lot. It was not
a
what I was
lot.
expecting.
Yeah.
I get why people like it, and I respect it. It's a very brilliant movie from certain perspectives in terms of how they got the theme across, because I think it was meant to be disturbing. I just didn't enjoy it. Like I
Yeah, I mean, I feel like I say that about a lot of, especially like acclaimed films.
Yeah.
They're movies you watch once and you're like, I don't want to watch this again. Like this
You
is
admire
not.
more than enjoy, maybe.
Yeah, like it's because it's good, especially with a movie like Pan's Labyrinth, where the costuming is amazing, the acting is amazing, the sets are amazing,
Yeah.
the storyline is there. Like, I don't think the storyline is perfect in any way, but like this, it's there. Like what you need for it is there, and you fear for this
Yeah.
girl and her family. You hate the Nazis and the bad guys, and you're just like she crawls in that thing and the guy with the eyes in his hands and you're just
Oh, the
like,
guy with the
oh
eyes in his
damn.
hands, the guy with the eyes in his hands in the big banquet, and she can't eat it, or he'll know, or whatever. Like
Yeah.
that creature that can't see except the eyes in his hands. I thought that was a nightmarish creature. I was more frightened by that creature than I thought I should be as a grown man. Like I thought it was I thought it was really creepy.
I disagree. I think everybody should be scared of that thing because that thing was just wrong. It was
It was.
wrong.
I actually remember seeing pictures of it show up. I'm like, scroll past, scroll past. I was like, I don't want to see it anymore.
Yeah. Where I think it's like Wizard of Oz managed to make like especially their bad guys creepy enough. Like we mentioned the Wheelers, we mentioned Princess
Mombi.
Mombi
Yeah.
and and the Gnome King. And I think
Yeah.
that was it. But like the Wheelers were like a gang of them.
Yeah.
And they had these like lanky long arms, but all their hands and feet were wheels and
Yeah.
they're all dressed like I found this was a big thing in the 80s where you made like the bad guy just dressed in like a lot of material.
Oh, like lots of mismatched materials.
Yeah, like there was just like a bunch of layers
Yeah.
for some
I
reason.
mean, it was effective look. I think they looked good. I feel like the movie looked really good.
Yes, yeah, I agree. I think it looked well. The only thing I really didn't like was the what is it, the Gump? I did not
Right.
like the Gump. I was just like, you went a little too far with this one.
Yeah, it was a bit all over the place, kind of the way. I mean, I appreciate they were trying to come up with an interesting solution, and they needed basically, in some ways, an equivalent of a cowardly lion. So they came up with this moose character because it completed the four of them.
Yes, yeah, because she
Um,
needed her gang
yeah,
together, you know.
and there was a
Yeah,
Tin Man, there was a scarecrow-like creature, and they needed a weird animal, so they did the gump.
they did the gun. Yeah.
So I
Um,
kind of expected something like that, but I mean, he didn't have much of a role. He was kind of but the only thing I'll say about like it being an old 80s movie, sometimes, especially in the early scenes, you could see the shadow of green screen just around her face.
yeah,
And
yeah.
I noticed it quite a bit.
Yeah, you definitely see that in the older movies, and I'm very happy they've perfected that. That's fantastic. But yeah, I don't know, but I also find it still gives it that kind of like that hominess that, this is what true fantasy is,
Yeah,
you
no,
know.
I agree. I don't mind it at all. It's part of being an 80s movie. So
Hmm.
the only other note I had for this movie was Fairuza Balk. This was her very first movie. I thought she did a great job. She's a very intense little girl.
Yeah.
And what I thought was interesting is I think I've only seen her in one other movie, and that was The Craft.
Yeah.
So both movies that she's in, she gets sent to a mental institution and tied down to a gurney.
I should not be laughing. I should not be laughing. Okay.
But that's a pretty funny kind of,
Yeah,
I don't know,
I don't know, maybe
through
she's
line for
just
her.
really good at playing patience. No idea.
Or looking a little crazy because she does kind of come off a little crazy.
Oh, she's in Almost Famous, and you've definitely seen that.
I forgot that she's in that. I have seen that.
Yeah.
Yeah.
She was also in
Okay.
American History X, which one of those movies I've only seen once, and I will not watch again.
I
Not
did
because
see it
it's
in
not
the
a bad
theater.
movie. It's fantastic. Don't need to see it again.
Yeah, I agree. I don't even really remember it now.
Yeah, I remember it a little too much, is what my problem is.
Mm.
And she's actually
That's the Ed Norton one, right?
yes, yeah. And Ed Norton and Ed Furlong.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's a skinhead or something.
Mhm. Well, technically he's a former skinhead, but his brother looks up to his skinhead past, and
Right.
is trying to sort of like emulate him, and they kind of go over some of the horrible things his brother has done, and they graphically visually show most of it. And I was like, I don't need this. This is not what I need in my life. She was in The Island of Dr. Moreau.
I never saw
Oh, it is not a good movie. Don't worry about it.
that.
Um, oh, that's right. She was in The Waterboy. That is a movie that has aged horribly.
I didn't even like it at the time. I thought, I don't understand why this is such a huge hit. It's so stupid. But
Yeah, it's one of his work. That one, like out of Adam Sandler movies, is that one, Little Nicky and Mr. Deeds are the ones I think I hate the most.
yeah, those all sound terrible.
Yeah.
I never even
Um,
liked this. Like, I think the best one is probably Billy Madison because it had a premise that was sort of funny.
yeah, like as in just the comedies, right? Because
Yeah, just the
his
comedy. I'm not talking
his
about his
later
later
stuff,
actual good movies. Like,
yes,
he's a good actor. He actually has made some really good later
yeah.
movies. But I'm just talking about, yeah, early comedy Adam Sandler.
Um, out of his earlier stuff, the one I love the most is The Wedding Singer.
I don't consider that one of his movies though, because that's a rom-com, even though he is in it. Like, it's not where
Really?
he's like, I love that movie. I
Yeah,
thought that was such a cute movie.
I love that movie to death. Okay, so now I know what you mean. So yeah, I would go with Billy Madison as well.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm just talking
Well,
about like when he was like that sort of stupid man-child front and center character balls out comedies like Happy
yeah,
Gilmore, Billy Madison, Waterboy, maybe
yeah.
Little Nicky is the last of those.
Well, I know Big Daddy should be in
Oh,
there, I
Big
guess
Daddy, I
too.
forgot about
Yeah.
that one.
That one's actually that movie ends up being a little sweeter than you want it to be honest.
I don't even,
Um,
yeah. I did see it. I don't remember. I saw every movie. I just don't remember them very well.
Yeah,
I
that one.
remember everybody loving them and me thinking, I don't know why I don't, but I don't like these movies. They're so stupid.
Yeah, I really liked, yeah, it's more of his like later stuff. Like when he started doing like Wedding Singer and stuff is when I started liking
Like
his thing,
Wedding
his
Singer,
shtick.
and then he did 50 First Dates, and he was like doing like sort of more rom-commy things. Wedding Singer
Hmm.
was so cute though. He was so likable in that, and she was so likable in that,
Yeah.
and it
And it
was
was like a
just
nice little story and
yeah,
yeah, it was just good and just like the music, of course it's the time period that it's in and the music in it is just so perfect and you're just like I love this. This is
yeah.
fantastic
I
and
loved it. I loved that
yeah.
movie. I actually had that on DVD too.
So do I. It's fine.
Future Valentine's Day episode.
God, I hope so. Yeah, I hope so. Been perfect.
Signing up now. Um,
Yeah.
okay.
So overall, what is your review of Return to Oz?
My review is I think it's a solid fantasy family flick from the 80s. I thought it was really enjoyable, good pacing. I liked the villains. I liked it. I would say thumbs up, but I would also say I don't know. I would not necessarily show it to my children. Like I have one child, but I wouldn't necessarily show it to kids unless they like dark stuff. Because some kids would not be bothered at all, but I do think it's on the side of too scary for a lot of kids.
Yeah, I mean, even as an adult who has seen some stuff, I still was like, nah, that's the stuff of nightmares.
Yeah.
No.
It is
Mm-mm.
the stuff of nightmares. It's a pretty scary movie. But I feel like that's praise to me that a kid's movie like Return to Oz to be too scary. I like that, right? If somebody says, "Oh, that's pretty scary," then I want to watch it.
Yeah, yeah. I get that. I get that. Yeah. So our next movie is was made actually a year before Return to Oz,
Yeah,
surprisingly,
that is surprising.
with Romancing the Stone. And this movie is just a joy.
It really is. I think this is a gem. It's like I always used to say it was like one of my favorite movies, like especially back then. And I think it actually holds up. I think it holds up pretty well.
Actually, I used to watch this movie all the time, like very, very regularly. Because it was also one of those movies that was on TV all the time for a long
Yeah,
time.
yeah.
So I watched it often. But this viewing, I realized I'm like, I haven't watched this in forever. So it was almost like I remembered all the beats and stuff, but it was kind of like fresh eyes again, you know?
Yeah.
And my only complaint is I found the pacing slower than I remember. I always thought it was like fast, 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 fast,
I
fast.
know.
But
Yeah.
yeah, it was just a little slower than I remember. And I was just like, didn't more stuff happen here?
There's
Didn't
a
some
lot
something
more
missing?
interiors and talking and plot. Like, but here's the thing. I'm just going to step a bit back. I'm sort of used to this now because I've been revisiting a lot of 80s movies because I think, oh, I should show Maddie this movie. I should show Maddie that movie. They're all super slow.
Okay.
That's just the way it was in the 80s. And I remember saying, like, I showed Poltergeist to my niece and nephew, and I just remember it being so scary when I was a kid. And I thought, and it was like they were over. This is when they were younger too, but I just thought, this is such a good horror movie. They're gonna love it. It was like Halloween-ish time. And it's slow as fuck. Like it's really slow. Like almost nothing happens for 40 minutes. Like they're just walking around, talking, flirting, smoking weed, talking to the construction people in the backyard, kind of like nothing happens. And then suddenly, finally, something happens. And even the scary stuff, it's, I think, still very good. Sorry to talk about Poltergeist. But I mean, it's like so much boring stuff between those things. And I think we're all just conditioned back then to just sit through it. Like Gremlins was the same way. Nothing happens for 40 minutes. Gremlins, you think
Yeah.
of that as like this rollicking kind of action packed thing, but very much tied to just certain set pieces. And otherwise, it's very slow. And like even, what are the other movies I was watching recently? Like E.T., like all these classic 80s movies, like The Goonies, it's
Yeah.
pretty boring if you like really watch it. So I wasn't surprised when I was watching Romancing the Stone, because every time I watch an 80s movie, I reset my expectations for pacing. Because over time and over years, after, you know, MTV, I would say in the 80s, like started bleeding into the editing of movies over time. And then you get to here where movies don't start with setups. They start in the middle of an action series. Like see like the very first scene, somebody's falling out of a plane and you just have to catch up, and it's either a tangential plot or it's like a you might wonder how I got here or something like, but they start right away. And 80s movies didn't do that.
Do you think it's just because we've gotten used to the new way of storytelling, or do you think it's actually slow? Like, because as you said, now movies start sort of in the middle and then kind of go to the beginning and then we
Or you
figure it
have to
out
piece it
somewhere.
together. Yeah.
Yeah. Whereas I think in the 80s they were just like, nope, this is the start of the story. You're
Yeah.
meeting the people, everything you have to see what their life is before
Exactly.
stuff happens to in their life.
Yeah.
Um, and but I don't know if that's just a different storytelling style. It's like even now, if you watch a Canadian slash American movie compared to watching a English slash French movie compared to watching a Middle Eastern or Chinese movie, each of them have different storytelling styles and certain stories I can't stand where other people love because I can't get into the type of story
Yeah.
or the way they're telling the story, you know?
Yeah, and I think I don't know if there's a definitive answer really, because it does come down to taste and preference. But I do think like we are certainly these days conditioned to expect tighter editing and shorter setups and get to the chase much quicker. But
Yeah.
I don't think it's a flaw of 80s movies that they take their time. And like the only thing I would say is, you know, movies should every single scene should serve a purpose. Every single scene, there should be a reason why that scene is there as a setup for later or for tell something now. If you can just take that scene out because you put it in because it was funny or there was a joke you wanted, if you just take that whole scene out and nothing changes in the movie, that scene should not be there. Like that's one style where, and I feel like as long as that rule is held up, in my view, then the scenes can take as long as they want to take, as long as there's some reason. And I think Romancing the Stone is actually pretty efficient in that regard. Like every little thing, like even that little scene where, the person leaves that package for her and then she sees it and the woman says, I'm still hoping for you, and it's like she carrying it around, like they all mean something to the story. They're just like these small little moments, but they're setting up things that will happen later.
Agreed. Yeah. Yeah. Because I was
And
gonna ask you, I'm like, is there something in this you would take out? But I'm sitting here thinking about it. I'm like, if you think about all the scenes,
yeah,
they do all matter. They just take a little longer than you want them to.
exactly. And you just want them to edit it a little tighter.
Yeah.
I personally, I wouldn't change it. I mean I agree with you. When I was watching it, I remember thinking this is a little bit more languid than I remember. Like the set pieces are still great, but I mean it takes a little longer to get there. But I don't know, I just really enjoyed it. I just feel like I'm happy to be in the world with it and I don't really mind because it kind of takes me back a little bit.
Yeah. Well, one thing I like about this is that so it's like a actiony rom-com kind of thing.
It's like Raiders
And
of the Lost Ark as a romantic comedy.
yeah, yeah, we can put it that way. And there's nothing offensive, there's nothing vulgar. I mean, oh, they talk about weed like it's the worst drug ever, you know. They talk about it in whispers and stuff. But like, and there's a couple of scenes where there's a little bit of violence, sure, you know, but that's what you expect in an adventure.
Yeah.
But there's nothing off-putting in the
No.
movie, you know, and that's the kind of thing that I really like about it is you can watch it, it's easy, you'll get a laugh here or there, you know, and you know you might question some of the fashion aesthetic within the film, but other than that you're just like this is just a good time. This
Yeah,
it is.
and on top of that, I feel Kathleen Turner has never been better. Like I think she's a really great actress, and I just fully fall for her every time I watch this movie because of her smoky voice and the way she acts, and that husky voice that suggests how tough she is. But there's also that little crack of vulnerability for this character who's lonely. I just I just love her voice in this movie, and I love
Yeah,
the way she presents herself in this movie. And I feel like with any romantic comedy, like it lives or dies on the chemistry of the two leads, right? If you don't believe that they like each other, if you don't believe that they would fall in love with each other, then the movie
falls apart.
falls
Yeah.
apart. Yeah. And I believed it with them. I really felt like they pulled it off. And I feel like Michael Douglas. So I remember the first time I saw this, and I was really into Indiana Jones, and I was really in love with Harrison Ford. And I remember thinking, like watching and seeing Michael Douglas and saying, um, "You're trying to be the next Indiana Jones." I love Indiana Jones, sir. You are no Indiana Jones. Like I feel
Yeah.
like I thought he was like a poor man's Indiana Jones, but I actually feel like he did such a good job in this movie because he's not really Indiana Jones is like this totally selfless hero that's risking his life to save artifacts to give to a museum, and he's like so noble. And this guy's the opposite, right? Like he literally only wants money and he wants the treasure for himself, and he doesn't even want to help her until she says she can pay him. Like he's the opposite of Indiana Jones in that regard. And I feel like he's also kind of more nervous when things happen. He's like, oh my God, let's like he's kind of more human that way, even though he can get away with things. I love that about him, right? And the fact that like, she kind of like, I love that sequence where they're running away from those people, and he's trying to figure out what to do because they're at the end of this cliff, and then she just goes off on her own and finds this dilapidated wood suspension bridge, and she decides to just try to cross it on her own. And the way they shot it, it looks so dangerous, right? Like you can really feel how awful it would be, and she's trying it while he's trying to figure out a way on the thing, and then he sees her, and then it breaks, and then to save herself she grabs onto a vine and then somehow swings across the chasm. I love that scene. I just think that's such a funny, hilarious scene, right? And I mean,
Yeah.
it's like a classic adventure scene where a hero, we've seen it a million times, they're running through the jungle being pursued by bad guys, they see a cliff and they grab a vine and they swing across. Like back from the Tarzan days, they did this, right? And I love that they reframed it, that this woman just trying to get away on this bridge, and then she accidentally swings across, and then Michael Douglas sees her do that, and then he just tries it himself, and he slams into the edge of the building or the wall. Like I think that whole thing is so well thought out and funny. Like it's a funny
It's
sort
a
of turn.
really funny take on it. Yeah. Well, because one thing I also like about this movie is that, like, yes, Kathleen Turner's character needs help, but she's not a damsel in distress. She can take care of herself. She just needs a little bit of direction. She's like,
Yes.
I've never been here before. Just tell me where to go and I will go that way. She's not begging to be saved or anything. So,
No. And she's paying him for help and directions. And she's
yeah.
like, she knows what she wants. She wants to find her sister. She doesn't care about the map. She just wants her sister. I love that she's so strong willed.
Yes, yeah. And the movie lets her be herself. She's like, yeah, I'm a hopeless romantic. And no, I've never been out of the city, so I'm really badly dressed for this.
Yeah.
But you know what? You need me to walk through the jungle? I'll walk through the jungle.
Yeah.
We need to get away from these bad guys. And you said, don't cross the bridge. I'm going to cross the bridge.
Yeah.
I got to go where I need to
Yeah.
go. And she was like, as I said, she's not a damsel. And I think that's what also makes the movie work and so endearing as well, is that she's not weak.
No.
Like lots of rom-coms like this, you have the girl's always just like clutching the guy, like, help
Yeah.
me, save me, blah, blah, blah. What are we gonna do? She doesn't do any of that
No.
weird clutching
And also a
nonsense.
lot of rom-coms or even women in action movies, like they play such a helpless victim, and they're ditches, and she never does that at all. Like she's not
No.
a ditz one at all. And she figures things out, and she stands up to Jack all the time.
Yes. Yeah, she does. She's like, you're not gonna treat me like garbage.
Yeah.
I'm not gonna take your nonsense,
Yeah.
but this is what we're gonna do, and I need your help. Therefore, you're sticking around for a little while. That's it.
And I also love that Jack is very clearly at the beginning out for himself. He doesn't really care about her. He just wants to get paid. And then you can kind of see, I feel like you can see him starting to like her, but fighting his own instincts to kind of take the map and run or try, do what he wants. Like, you know what I mean? Like she can't really trust him, and we don't know if she can trust him either.
Yeah.
And
Well, even even at like when they get to like the Hotel Cartagena and all that kind of stuff, and they have their little dance sequence and
Yeah.
like they end up in bed together and stuff. And there's just a warning, there's nothing graphic about it. It's not scandalous. It's actually very sweet and very cute.
It is very cute.
And she brings up, she's like, "How come you didn't take the map from me yet?" Because he thinks he's pulling one over her eyes.
Yeah.
Whereas like she's like, she's got your number. She
Yeah.
knows what you're doing.
But she
Just
still
because
likes
she's
him anyway. She still kind
yeah.
of likes him anyway. And I kind of love that you can kind of see it's two people that are thrown together through circumstance. Like she kind of needs him because she's in Colombia by herself, and he wants to stay with her because he wants to get money, and he feels like they can find this treasure. He can find this treasure. Like
Yeah.
there's I think very realistic plot reasons why they stay together. Um,
Yeah.
but there's also really realistic plot points why they don't trust each other. And I think they did such a good job of navigating that whole space where they're getting to know each other and you can see them starting to like each other even in spite of themselves.
Yeah, and neither of them come across mean or rude. Well, I mean, Michael Douglas comes across a little rude at the beginning, but
He
that
is a little rude at the beginning, but
you
he's like
you
that.
get over that real quickly.
You do.
But like, and not rude in like a mean way or anything.
It's kind of a
And
rapist kind of
yeah,
self-centered a little bit.
and I find in a lot of movies when they have like a strong female, they make them just bitchy.
Yeah,
And she doesn't come across bitchy
not
or
at all.
mean. She doesn't even come across as standoffish. She comes across as like, I am worried about my safety,
Yeah,
but not like you go over there and I stay over here. That's
yeah.
not how she comes across at all.
Uh,
And it just really works.
it
It just
really
really, really
works.
works. Yeah.
And okay, and the bad guys. So, I think it's interesting to have a bad guy that's somewhat endearing, but Danny DeVito is really funny.
Yeah.
Like that's why this movie is so fun because you don't really actively hate people like that
Yeah.
much.
Yeah, well, even like his cousin Ira, who's like keeping the
Ira.
sister hostage, you're just like every time you see him, you're just like, you're funny. You're
I
funny. Like if you were holding her like captive, I think you'd get along. I think it'd be fine.
know.
Yeah.
I know. And I love that, and this is a cliche maybe now, but I love that the movie started with a scene from one of her books,
Oh
right?
my God. Okay, we have to talk about this scene because it is fantastic.
It's fantastic.
Fantastic. Yeah.
I love the line. I even wrote some of it down like, Brogan, this man who killed my dad, killed my sister, something my mother, killed my dog, and stole my Bible.
It's so good.
It's
It's so
so good.
good.
And sold so well. Like they just
Yeah.
commit and deliver. Like
Well, yeah, because but the thing is, even in that whole scene, it is completely Kathleen Turner's character personality. I should know their names. Joan Wilder. There you
Joan
go, Joan
Wilder.
Wilder. Um, it's her personality because the scene is set up that, this helpless woman with her shirt that's like torn and wet for some reason is being held at gunpoint by like this guy who's an outlaw who's of course like killed her dad and burnt down the barn and all this kind of stuff.
Stole her Bible.
And you're like, oh, somebody's gonna come in and save her. And then she saves herself, right?
Yes.
And
Yes,
then
it's true. Yeah.
she saves herself, and then she like takes off on a horse and she's galloping, and then Jesse comes and like helps her. But again, she's not a damsel in
Yeah.
distress.
She saved herself. Yeah.
She saved herself, but she's still out looking for the man she's fallen in love with, and then they're gonna ride off in the sunset. And you're just like, yes, this is what it should. This is like if romance novels ended like that, I would read them. I
I know.
would read them.
I know. And when she ends writing it and she's like, oh, that's so good. And she's
she's,
crying.
And she's like walking around her whole apartment trying to get tissues, you know.
And she's completely out of tissues because she cries all the time.
Exactly. It was fantastic. It's just the whole scene, the transition, and also you were already talking about her voice, but her like reading the whole opening sequence, doing the voiceover for it. Oh, fantastic.
I know. Like I
Fantastic.
love the when she says, or any man. Or like just the way she said it. Like I just loved her narration in that scene.
Yeah.
It's so okay. I don't know how much we should talk about this, but I think there's no getting around it. So like when I watched this movie, I just loved it so much because I just thought this is like everything I love about Raiders plus a romantic comedy. I just like this is like an amazing movie, and I always thought it was like my favorite movie for a while. The sequel is not very good. I
No,
didn't love
Jewel
the
of
sequel.
the Nile is a bad movie.
It was a disappointment for sure, and
It's
I was
definitely a
so
disappointment.
rooting for it because it was
Yeah.
such a the first one's still so amazing. But I remember years and years later when people are remaking movies, all these old 80s movies, and just kind of revisiting old types of movies. I remember thinking to myself, no one has ever done another movie like Romancing the Stone. Like, no one has done another sort of romantic comedy kind of adventure, action adventure. They tried with Matthew McConaughey and Kate Hudson with Fool's Gold.
Okay.
And I remember seeing that come out and like, ooh, and I watched it. Super boring. I don't know how they fucked that up, but it was just very boring movie. And so then even past that, I kept thinking, this is like this amazing project I'm going to have. Like I'm going to write a script. I'm going to like do a project which is the new Romancing the Stone. I want them to do a new Romancing the Stone. It's going to be amazing. And then I think it's last year or 2 years ago, Sandra Bullock and Shannon Tatum made a movie called The Lost City, and it is
I have not seen that. Yeah.
okay, you need to watch it. I think it's on Netflix or it's on one of them. But it's
Okay.
like it is a virtual remake of Romancing the Stone.
Really?
She is a romance writer. The movie starts with a scene from one of her books. And then there's like this whole hijinks adventure. Like, I mean, it's different. They put a twist on it because they have the the male character is not some jungle what's the term they use like a soldier of fortune, like he's not like Jack, he's like the cover model from all of her novels
Okay. That makes
who
sense. Kind of. Yeah. Yeah.
who really likes her, who's kind of in love with her and follows around, goes on press tours with her, and she gets kidnapped and he decides to go rescue her.
Oh, okay. I like
So
that. Yeah.
and she's all like, "You're not really Dash or whatever his character's name, and you're just a model. Like, you're not this character." But then he tries to, but then they make him quite goofy. But I couldn't stop thinking, like when I saw the ad, I says, "Oh my God, they've done it, and they've done it with Sandra Bullock. Oh my God!" And then I remember the reviews, all the reviews, many of the reviews were saying we're comparing it to Romancing the Stone, and
Okay.
so if you Google Lost City Romancing the Stone, like so many articles about how it's the new Romancing the Stone. So I watched it and it's very charming. It's really cute. I really liked it, but I don't think it's as good as Romancing the Stone.
Okay.
But what's interesting to call back to our previous conversation, um, it's edited more in line with our current sensibilities because it just came out last year or two
Yeah.
years ago,
So it's
right?
a lot faster, shorter
It moves
scenes and
faster. It's more overt comedy, I would say.
Mhm.
Um, I really liked it. In fact, I think I might go watch it again. But
Yeah.
it's like, I don't know. I just didn't love it as much as I love Romancing the Stone. But I'd be interested to see what your thoughts are because it's kind of like Romancing the Stone if it was made today.
Well, I think too with Romancing the Stone, like the comedy in it is situational. It's just like she's in a situation and something kind of funny happens.
Yeah.
Because you were even talking about the part where she like takes the vine and swings across, and it's just like lets go and just like plops down. She's like, what?
Yeah. And she
And
did
she's
it.
like, I need a fucking drink. And she goes in her bag. That's funny, but they're not making a joke,
Yeah,
right?
that's right.
Where I feel like this movie's like, no, they sit around making jokes
They
within the
did.
movie.
There's more actual comedy in it. And
Mm.
it's, I mean, one kind of funny device on The Lost City is she's on this book tour and like she's sort of lost her mojo or whatever. And they give her this wardrobe to wear. And it's like this totally sequined bodysuit. It's quite ridiculous. And she's like, why would I? She doesn't want to wear it. It's not her at all. And they're like, you just have to sit in it. And like, she's like, I can barely sit in this. This is so uncomfortable. And it's like truly quite a spectacularly absurd outfit. But then she gets kidnapped in that and then taken to the jungle. And so for a lot of the movie, she's running around
That
in this
sequence.
sequined, bright pink sequins bodysuit, which I thought was a funny choice.
Well,
It's
that's
just
because she's not going to blend in with the jungle in that thing.
no, exactly. So like it's just I thought that was a cute little thing. I
Yeah.
thought it was funny. Um anyway, we're not talking about that movie. We're talking about this
Yeah.
movie. I mean,
Well, also, can I just make one more comment on a movie? So, like a movie that's just came out, Argyle. I was seeing ads for it, and that also reminds me of this movie. Yes, she's a spy novel writer,
Oh,
but it reminds me of this as well because there's clearly in the ads there's clips from her books, and she, it's of her writing, and then one of a real spy comes and saves her because somebody's trying to kill her, blah blah blah. But it really did remind me of this
romantic.
setup, like
See,
this
I feel
feel.
I should see Argyle now because
Yeah,
like I didn't
I
know, but I would say, see, this shows you. I'm gonna like the legacy of Romancing the Stone. Like I feel like these are all children of Romancing the Stone.
Yes, I agree with you. One thing I saw, like there was a post online about remakes and all that kind of stuff, and they're just like, stop remaking good movies.
Yeah,
Remake a bad movie that had a good concept. And you
right.
know what? They should remake Jewel of the Nile and figure out something better. Because I'm like that movie, like Romancing the Stone. If you're gonna make a sequel, it deserves a good sequel
It does
because
deserve a good.
it's two really good characters that are well created, and in a situation that things can happen,
Yeah,
things you can do something, not a magical Middle Eastern man. Like
I
that's just
know. I
weird.
am the jewel. I am the jewel of the nest.
Yeah.
Spoiler alert. But it's
Yeah.
like I just
And then he does this weird and then he's like he walks through fire. You're just like this is not like science fiction. Like this
yeah
isn't a fantasy. Well, not a fantasy in the usual fantasy sense. This is a romantic fantasy.
yeah
Nobody's walking through fire, guys. Just make them find some other treasure.
exactly. Like
You know.
make it what we want.
Yes. That would make it easier, you know.
Don't try to be so clever and twisty that it's this other thing.
Yes, yeah, or even just put them in a situation where that makes sense or there's actual peril. Because I remember watching that movie and I was just like, yeah, they'll be fine. Yeah,
Yeah,
what else are we doing? Yeah, it's
exactly. No, look, there's no. It's like it's just ill-conceived. Now, like the ending of this movie. So the whole action shot. Again, this is very much a cliche where the selfish person is trapped between a choice between saving the treasure or saving the person.
yeah.
Right. It happens I just watched Uncharted again, and it's the same thing where Mark
Hmm.
Wahlberg doesn't want to lose his treasure, but he or save Tom Holland,
Yeah.
and
Also
that one was
bad
not done as
movie.
well because there's so many ways he could have easily saved Tom Holland without throwing out his treasure. Like
Correct.
he
Yeah.
didn't need to throw the treasure at her. He could have thrown literally anything else. Um,
Yes.
anyway, again, we're not talking about that movie, but I mean, this is an '80s movie, so they probably had this concept around even then. It's such a well-worn trope, but I thought it was so well done with, you know, the jewel and the alligator, the crocodile, and everything, and like just this whole. I thought it was hilarious. Like it was both suspenseful and funny, and then the threat of people getting eaten, and then. But then at the end, when it eats the jewel and it's kind of wandering off, you see Jack like trying to hold on to the crocodile.
That's just so funny.
Like I just thought that was so funny because like everyone's trying to get away with it, get away from the crocodile, but Jack
Yeah.
is so obsessed with getting the jewel. He's
Yeah.
like
Yeah,
attacking.
he's in the middle of a firefight. People are shooting at him and he's like, "Get the alligator."
Yeah,
What?
I loved that, but it was such a well choreographed scene. And
Yeah.
then, but of course, he agrees. He lets the crocodile go, alligator go, and then ending plays out.
Yeah.
But I kind of loved though that she could never still like she could say, "Oh, I can trust you, I can trust you," but like there's always that thing, like he's out for himself. I just love the consistent ending where it's sort of like he disappears, but he comes back, and he's got the alligator boots on.
Yes. Yeah.
Perfect ending,
It's
right? Like this
perfect.
perfect. Like he found the alligator, now he's got this big boat. I just thought it was such a good way to end it, right? It was
Yeah.
so true to his character, but it was a good happy ending. It was a nice surprise reunion with the boat in the middle of New York. Like just everything about it was so kind of over the top, but I just thought it's such a great way to end it.
Well, because he's a man who gets
Yeah.
what he wants, right? So, I mean, he's got the money, he got the boat. Now he's got to get the woman. So that's New York is where he's got to be. So he's
Yeah.
going to be there. Yeah.
And it's like the perfect ending. And to me, I kind of thought, so they should be together. In the next movie, they should be on his boat. And they
Yeah.
should
some sort of sea adventure,
Some sort of
digging
sea
for like
adventure. Yeah.
buried treasure from a sunken ship or something. Like
Something. Yeah.
just, he's in New York, did some research. He's like, no, don't ask me. I found this map somewhere. We're
Yeah.
gonna,
Or it doesn't even have to be another map, but
yeah,
it could be just sort of a clue, like any number of ways you can find treasure, right? Like there's been so
yeah.
many,
Well, yeah,
like in
he's
a book or
like you said, a soldier of fortune. He's gonna find a way to get some money somehow, some way, But I'm like, but the thing is, the beginning of Jewel of the Nile, where it's a few years, they've been together, they're comfortable because her book sales are going through the roof, and they have a house and they're settled, and they're both just bored because he wants to go on adventures
yeah.
and she wants to rekindle, them how they met essentially. And then I was like, okay, no, that's a legitimate progression of a relationship. I
Yeah,
get that.
it
But
is.
then it's just the adventure part of it. You're just like, why is this the adventure? Like, why is this what we're doing? This doesn't
Yeah,
make sense,
I agree. I think, yeah, I agree. That makes sense. Like, I think that's a totally a way to go. Like, years later, are they really happy? Are they bored? Like a man like
Mhm.
him, is he going to want to stay in a house? Like, is like, I can see all of that. But you could also stretch it out a little bit before you get to that crisis point. Like, look how many Indiana Jones movies there are. Like, there's constant treasures to be found.
Yes,
Right?
exactly.
We
Yeah.
don't need the justification of like to pretzel ourselves to figure out another way. Like just say that they're looking for it.
Yeah.
just
And just go out
just
for it. Just it.
just
Yeah.
say, you know what, we did it, we found it, we were good at it, let's do it again. And like,
Yeah.
all these adventure movies, they just go for it. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to have marital strife. Although I do see how the relationship with Sokita romancing the stone, they want them to have some kind of it speak to their marriage in some way. But I feel
Yeah.
like they could do it quicker and they could do it like in a more fun way.
Yeah, but it's also not necessary. I mean, they showed that in like the Mummy movies, for example,
Yeah.
with the two leads in that, the whole first movie, well, yeah, Mummy's trying to kill them, but their romance happens, they fall in love at the end of the
Yeah.
movie, and you're just like, I believe this love story, because
Yeah.
damn. And then in
Yeah.
the second movie, it starts off with like their love is stronger than ever. They have a
Yeah.
kid, they still have a house, and they're going on adventures still. I
Still,
mean,
exactly.
so that movie definitely could have started there.
You don't have to put their marriage in peril just to have them go on another adventure.
Yeah, yeah. But I
Yeah.
guess I don't know. Maybe the writers in the second movie weren't as creative and they're just like, I don't know, why would you go on another adventure when you have money? And like, I don't know, maybe your marriage sucks. And then,
Yeah, totally. That's how it went.
they're just like done, we'll go from there.
That's so funny.
Um, but yeah, no, I like despite my one complaint that it's slower than I remember it being, I still loved it. Like I still thoroughly enjoyed watching this movie. Like
And I
it's
loved the
great.
80s soundtrack. Like I loved it. Like it's that cheesy background music, but even like right from the start when it's like down 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 down.
Yeah, it's like that weird synthesizer saxophony ness, it's great. And every time like something crazy is happening, you got the bass comes in like
Yes.
you know.
Yes. I guess it's sort of comfort food because it's sort of like this old kind of timey, simpler times.
Kind of thing, yeah, yeah.
But
Where
yeah,
well, because and the thing is too is like adventure movies. And it's you already brought up Indiana Jones, but the newer Indiana Jones, both of them have the same issue where they want the adventure to be too big, right? I find most adventure movies like everything is just so
it's
big.
always saving the world. Like the
Yeah.
world is at stake.
Yeah, like this is just she's like, I just need to get this map to save my
Yeah.
sister.
It's a contained
That's it.
story.
A
Yeah.
very small contained story that only affects them. And there's nothing wrong with a small contained story. Not every single story doesn't have to involve saving the world.
Yeah. But
You can
unfortunately,
save yourself.
that is the blockbuster mentality though.
Yeah, because people are just like, it has to be big for people to want to see it. And, because it worked these 10 times, but also it's worked before without all of this a
But
hundred
it but
times.
it's almost like stakes fatigue. Like how many times can we watch them save the entire world
Or,
from an
yeah,
enemy? Like and
and
I wonder if that's part of the Marvel problem right now with Marvel movies kind of tanking all the time and people are bored of Marvel movies. Like, because like we've talked about, like I love Marvel. Like I've watched all those movies, but it's too much. There's too
Yeah.
much. Like there's too
There's
much of the same. Like how many world threats can we see
yeah,
that?
like why can't something be small again? Like I don't,
Which is why the
like
first Ant-Man was, I thought, so charming because it was such a
and
small plot.
people hated it. And I was like, why? They're like,
I
he's
loved it.
not doing anything. I'm like, what are you talking about? He's
There's a whole
doing
plot
stuff.
there. I thought it was so good. I thought it was so cool.
I loved it. I loved the first one. It's fantastic.
And the second one too. But
Magnificent.
then the third, the Quantumania, where they do try to save the whole world,
Oh,
I
that
did
one
not.
is it's so bad.
Yeah,
No, but
like
it's just really badly done. The effects are horrible. The story is pointless. It goes against everything that they have set up so far. Like
yeah.
the part where they're in the quantum realm and he uses his ant suit to become big, and I'm like, but didn't we already set up in like the everything else, the two previous movies plus Civil War plus Endgame plus this is that if you're in the quantum realm and you press the big button, you get big and you come out of the quantum realm. Isn't that like the whole thing? Like that doesn't make any
They
sense.
just forgot about it. They just
Yeah.
completely decided. Yeah,
This
I
is
know.
just how it's gonna be. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, they've gotten themselves into a bit of a pickle there. I think that the last Indiana Jones movie, though, I liked it. I thought it was cute. Like, I thought, I mean, I could see, I was not that surprised it didn't do that well, just because I think it's such an old franchise. I don't know if
Mm.
people are dying to see it again, but I love adventure movies, right? Like, I
Oh, I
knew I was
was
gonna,
yeah, I was there. I was there for it. It definitely redeemed itself after the fourth movie that shall not be named. Um, but yeah, it was one of those things where I was like, oh my God, you guys figured out how to write the story well. But also, especially the part at the end where they do like the time travel thing, where suddenly it suddenly
like
got too
Vikings.
big again. You know
Yeah.
what I mean? I was
Well,
like,
that's what I thought
nah.
of when you were saying too big. Like even the last Indiana Jones, they had to save the whole world. Like they went back in time. Like the whole thing is the stakes, right? It's too much. Their stakes have to be huge.
Yeah.
But because I've seen Aliens now like I've seen all the different things. Like I knew it was going to be like they're not going to go small now. Like
Yeah.
like they're going to try to. It's going to have to be meaningfully big. So that didn't surprise me too much. I mean, I thought it was fine. I liked it. I really didn't have any issue with that. I thought it was cute. And I thought the first sequence with the de-aged Harrison Ford was crazy well done. Like
I liked it too. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
was shocked at how effective it was. Like there was maybe only 2 seconds where I got a bit of uncanny valley, but I mean, for the most part, I bought it. Like I thought it was,
Well, my only problem is that he had his old man voice with this de-aged face, and I was like, okay, when he started talking, I was like, that's old man, that's old man Indy. What are we talking about?
yeah,
That was my
yeah.
only issue with it, but it looked really good. Like
It
they
looked really good.
finally, I think they're starting to figure out how to not make it look uncanny valley when they de-age people.
Yeah.
Um, but I thought it was really well done too. Yeah.
I just thought it was like I don't know. I was it's such a pleasure to see him again as
Hmm.
Indiana Jones, and I actually thought Phoebe Waller-Bridge was really cute in it. Like I really like her. Like I loved Fleabag, and I love seeing how she's gone from this really indie start to full on blockbuster, right? She's in Star Wars, she's in Indiana Jones, she's like writing all like to me, I love that sort of story. But I thought like I just think British accents are charming and I think she sounds so smart and I just think she's charming. And I just thought she was really good. But I was prepared for all the hate and of course it came.
Yes, yeah.
But
No, I didn't. I did not have. I was very happy to say that I did not have a big problem with this last Indiana Jones movie. Like I was watching the movie and I was like, you know what? I'm legitimately enjoying this. I am
yeah.
enjoying this movie. Yeah,
You kind of have to set your expectations because it is an old-fashioned kind of movie.
it is. Yes. And it definitely was like it was definitely you felt the slower pace compared to
Yeah.
all this stuff that's out there right now, which I kind of was like happy about
I appreciate it.
because yeah, there
I mean,
wasn't
one
this
thing I
like
did
pressure all the time.
Well, one thing I didn't say when we were talking about the slower pace and how I was sort of okay with it from a nostalgic point of view, but I think it's more than that. I think that we've forgotten sometimes that you kind of need to breathe sometimes, right? Like, you need to have scenes that can sort of stretch out and that you can get to know them a bit and just have a moment before you're in the next thing. And so many movies just race from thing to thing to thing to thing.
Yeah, because it has to be a thing all the time.
Yeah. And like
Yes.
there's movies that can do it well because they do keep successfully escalating. And there's others that you just feel like it's like a big headache, like a Shazam movie, a recent Shazam
Oh
movie.
my
Like they're
God.
all
Yeah.
just they're just noisy,
Yeah.
but they're not well thought out. It's just one thing after another. It's like a
Yeah.
video game, right?
Yes. Yeah. And I think that's also one of the reasons why video game movies don't work as well is because people like the people making those movies forget that like in between these points you're putting together, usually there's like 10 hours of gameplay and then you have a cutscene. But you're just putting all the cutscenes together. It's a very different feel
Yeah,
than playing a game, you know?
yeah. Which is like, I mean, to go back, I guess, to Uncharted, which is like, I clearly love this genre, like Romancing the Stone Raiders, whatever. Like when Uncharted was released, like I have that game and I like that game, and I was like, this would make a great movie, and then it made a movie, and so of course I was there, I watched it, and it got really bad reviews. Um, I don't know why. It was exactly what I thought it would be. It was like a fun little treasure hunting adventure movie with cute Tom Holland. Like I
Yeah.
thought it was perfectly fine. I
I
thought it
mean,
was
I did not watch it in theaters. I did wait for it to come to streaming first, and then I watched it. And I was like, I understand why people hate it, but also I don't understand why they hate it that much.
I don't understand why they hate it. Like, if you like an adventure movie, what's wrong with it?
Yeah, I don't know. I honestly did not enjoy it. Like I liked certain parts of it. Like I liked Tom Holland as a character. But I find even in like quote unquote platonic relationships within the movie, you have to have chemistry. And Mark Wahlberg and Tom
You said
Holland do.
Wahlburger.
I know. Maybe I'm hungry. I don't know. Uh, but Mark Wahlberg and Tom Holland do not have chemistry on screen together. Like they seemed
In different
like
movies.
they shook hands, nice to meet you, and was like, okay, we have a job to do, and they did their job. You
Yeah.
know, like they don't like Tom Holland was like cute and he was very peppy and I'm gonna get things done.
He's just so earnest and peppy and cute.
Yeah, and then Mark Wahlberg was like, I'm the tough guy. And then
Yeah, he's all, hey kid, hey
they
kid.
just seem to be in different spaces, you
Yeah,
know.
I didn't really mind that. I didn't really get that. I mean, they were like it's guys. I don't I guess demand as much chemistry from guys. Like I feel
Mhm.
like I don't
No,
know.
but
I mean, it was a pretty
yeah, but I find you still feel it with that.
yeah,
Like
yeah.
if two people don't get along on screen, you're like you get that feeling from it. Like you can
I
see
get
it,
that.
you know.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just want them to make more movies like this, and I thought it was fine. And I think they'll probably make a sequel. I think it did pretty well.
Hmm. Yeah, no, I think they'll make a sequel too. But yeah, like I agree with you. I think like a solid adventure movie that's relatively small but just like a good time. I miss those. I like these.
But that
They're
that's
great.
that's that's the yeah. And Romancing the Stone is that kind of fun action adventure plus a believable love story. So it's like
Yes.
kind of everything I would want.
Yeah. And it's not raunchy, it's not crass. Like they don't you know what a thing about comedies right now, especially romantic comedies where they start off with like they're two opposing sides, blah blah
Yeah, they
blah,
hate
is
each
that
other. They hate each other, and now they
but
love each
they actively like insult each other and like they go at each other. Whereas this that doesn't happen.
other. No,
He's just like, you need better shoes. Are you sure you need this? Like,
yeah,
whatever.
they're
And yeah,
very
he's really
practical.
saggy.
They're
They're very
pragmatic.
practical. Yeah, you know, and that's what I like about it. I find a lot of comedies that have this kind of premise are mean these days.
Okay, speaking of exactly that, have you seen the movie Anyone But You?
No, I saw the trailers for that and I was like, this looks horrendous and they seem like horrible people. I don't want any
It's
part of this.
literally exactly what you're describing. It's a romantic comedy. There's no spoiler alert that they're meant to get together, but I
Yeah.
mean, through a very silly misunderstanding at the very beginning, they decide that they hate each other and they completely overreact and they insult each other for a lot of the movie. But I knew that going in because I read the premise, and it's kind of played out, and it's definitely a ridiculous reason that they provide for this hate because it could so easily have been cleared up with even just one conversation, but they
Yeah.
decide to just stew and insult each other all the time. But I ended up liking it anyway. I don't know if my
Okay.
standards are going down, but I I thought it was so cute. Like I think it's the actors. I ended up really liking the actors, and
Okay.
I kind of, I just wanted to buy into it. And then that song, "No one else can do it for you, only you can let it in. No one else can take the words on your lips. Put your life in nonsense
Yeah, that
for."
was part of a commercial for a razor to shave your legs
Oh,
for a movie.
really?
Yes.
That's
If I remember
hilarious.
correct, because I'm listening, I was just like, this was a commercial. What commercial was this? I feel like it was like Nair or like a razor
Oh
or
my God,
something
that's
like that.
hilarious. I
Possibly
didn't know that.
shampoo, but
It's
I
it's
really,
a song from I think 20 years ago. It's called "Unwritten" by
yeah.
Natasha. Anyway, that song is all through this movie.
Like
And
over and over.
when I left this movie, I was like immediately had to listen to it.
Sorry, I really have to look up what commercial this is in.
Okay.
Let's see.
Anyway, I'm
It
happy.
was it was Pantene Pro V. It was shampoo.
Okay, that's
I
so
knew it
good.
was out there. I knew it.
That's so
Yeah.
fun.
I knew it was a hygiene thing of some sort. Yeah.
That's some sort of grooming
Yeah.
situation. Um, I love rom-coms, like, and I'm really happy that they're kind of coming back. And I think Netflix was responsible because they started putting all these rom-coms on Netflix, like "Always Be My Maybe" and uh, "Love Hard" and all these other kind of straight to Netflix movies.
Mhm.
And I would watch them because I'm like such an old fan of rom-coms. Like, but this one, Anyone But You, they put in theaters, which I thought was really risky, but it's doing really well. So I
Oh,
decided
that's
to
good.
support it, and I went to theaters to watch it.
Mhm.
And I feel like we're on the tip of another renaissance, right? So I feel like
Of the rom-com.
of the rom-com.
Yeah. Yeah, like I mean I'm not a huge rom-com person. You probably know this.
Yeah,
But if there's a twist or if there's something fun or if it's like really well done, like I'm like When Harry
My
Met
best friend's
Sally,
wedding.
that kind of thing, My Best Friend's Wedding, that kind of stuff. Love it. I love
Yeah.
that stuff, right? But if it's just like a Hallmark movie, I'm sorry. I'm sorry.
I can't
I
watch an
can't do
actual
it.
Hallmark movie right
Yeah.
now. I mean the super formula ones that are like the Christmas ones,
Mhm.
like that's not what I'm talking about. But like those classic ones like from like Pretty Woman, My Best
I
Friend's
hate,
Wedding.
I'm sorry,
When
I hate Pretty Woman with a passion.
I know a lot of
I
people
hate
do.
that movie. Yeah, sorry.
I still love it. I still
Yeah,
love it.
you're allowed to. Don't worry.
But
Yeah.
you know what? I did watch it again recently, and I don't know that I would let Maddie watch it for a long time just because I hate the messaging. I just it's a really bad movie for that.
Yeah. It's legitimately like you can buy love. That's literally what the movie is about.
And also, you can buy happiness, and you're worthy of respect only if you're dressed up nicely.
Yeah.
And when you have the makeover and everybody's really happy to see you,
Mhm.
that proves how worthwhile it is to have material possessions.
Yeah,
Because,
because you have to
you,
fit in. If you don't fit
yeah,
in, then you don't have any money and then sucks to be you. Yeah.
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
And yet, I love it because she's so charming in it, and I just think it's so cute. And I fully admit all the problems, but I just can't. I can't help it. I can't help it.
That's sometimes you see a movie and it hits you in a certain place at the certain time,
Yeah,
and no matter how badly it's aged technically,
yeah.
you're like, nah, this I still love it. I
And
still
I
love
can quote it too. I feel like I wrote it. You know what I mean? Like it's like
it.
I just like it. But
Yeah,
anyway, but it's
yeah,
funny because I feel like Romancing the Stone is sort of it's before that, but Romancing the Stone came out in the middle of like when Harry Met Sally was just about to be released. Probably I don't
yeah.
remember. But, like
What year it came out? Yeah.
yeah, but I feel like it was just like ready on the precipice of the boom of all these types of movies.
Yeah, 1989 when Harry Met Sally.
Okay, yeah,
It's a little later than I thought, actually.
end of the '80s.
Yeah. But yeah, no, there are definitely you will definitely catch me watching some certain rom-coms. Yeah, it might like new rom-coms, it might take some work to talk me into watching and then I will like it. But
I've been
I'll get
watching
around to
some.
it.
I've been watching some sort of mid 2000s rom, or I don't know when they came out, but like uh, Ghosts of Girlfriends Past,
Oh, I've never seen that one. Yeah.
Matthew
I know of it,
McConaughey,
yeah.
because I've been watching them on Netflix, so they're recommending them to me, and so I I thought it was okay. And then I also watched what is it? Just Like Heaven or Feels Like Heaven.
Haven't seen that one either. Yeah.
It's Reese Witherspoon and Mark Ruffalo.
Oh, okay.
And Mark Ruffalo moves into an apartment in San Francisco. And Reese Witherspoon's there, but she's like a ghost.
Okay. That's okay.
I think you should watch it just because I'm
So,
curious to see what you think of it because
just like heaven. Okay.
it's a legitimately strange movie for a rom-com.
All right. Got it. Okay. I think the I want to see what's the newest rom-com I watched. Yeah, it's been a long time since I've watched like a new rom-com, to be honest. I think it was like What's Your Number or some
Oh
nonsense.
my God.
That movie is technically horrible, but it's got like three or four Avengers in it, and the ending's really cute. And I'm just like, Chris Evans, you could have my heart too. There you
There's
go.
four Avengers in it? Seriously?
Yeah. There's Chris Evans, there's Anthony Mackie, there's Chris
Wow.
Pratt, and who's the other one? Or maybe it's three Avengers.
That's crazy though.
I feel like there's one more. I might be wrong, but there's at least three. Those are the three I remember.
Is that Anna Faris?
Anna Faris is the main girl in it, yes.
I have seen it. It's been like I saw it when it was in theaters, I think.
Yeah. No, I definitely saw it at home bored at one point in time, and I was like, oh, it's cute. Okay. This is fine. But I've even seen movies like How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days and that kind of thing. Um well,
That one,
that one I was legitimately trapped on a plane, and that was like this was back in the day where you didn't have like channels.
you didn't have a choice.
You had like two movies to pick from, and this was one of them, and I watched it. And I was like, okay, it made the flight go by faster. This is fine.
Yeah.
It's that kind of thing.
The
Yeah.
premise of that movie is so preposterous, though, that they made these opposite bets. Like, that's such a ridiculous. Nobody makes bets like that. And for them to both have made that bet at the exact same time, it
And then
just,
to meet each other as
yeah,
well. Yeah.
it strains credibility so much.
It does.
Like,
Well, I think a lot of these rom-coms, though, the way the setup is made, you're just like, you know what, I'm just gonna go with it. Sure.
you
You
just have to
know?
go with it. But I
Yeah.
mean, I feel like that's the most egregious of anyone I can think of.
Oh, wait, I've seen Hitch. I liked
I
Hitch.
love
Hitch is cute.
Hitch.
Yes. Seen
I
Hitch.
love
Yeah.
that movie.
Yeah.
I
So,
think that
I've seen a decent amount of rom-coms in my
you
life.
have,
And
yeah.
yeah, yeah. And pretty good ones at that. So,
I think Notting Hill is like one of the best, if not the best.
I actually have never watched Notting Hill. Also, I've never watched what's the no, is it not Toby Maguire? Jerry Maguire.
Jerry
That's
Maguire, you never watched it?
yeah, that's the one people were just like, you've never seen that movie? Well, show me the money. That's all I need to know. I don't care. And that one and you had me at hello. That's the only two lines I need to know about
And
this
You
movie.
Complete Me.
Oh, that's right. You completely, yeah.
So you look at three iconic lines. You need to watch this movie.
Isn't all that within the same conversation? The you had me at hello and you complete me is not the same conversation.
That's the same conversation. Yeah,
Okay, so it's fine. It's
it's
fine.
fine. I'm surprised you never saw that though. It was a bit of a cultural moment.
It was one of those things where I was just like, I'm not gonna watch it, and then I was like, you have to watch it, and then
And you dug
it
your heels in.
became, it's like it was like too late, and then I was just like, man, it was that kind
I
of
haven't
thing.
seen that one in a really long time. But do you know what I did watch recently? Is Bridget Jones' Diary.
Oh yeah, hmm.
It's
I
so
have
good.
I have not seen that one since it came out.
Oh wow.
Yeah, I did
I
not see it in the theater. I saw it on like TV or something.
right.
It was like 3 years after it came out then.
Right.
Fine. But that was the only time I watched it was like once when it originally came out. I didn't even see like the sequels.
Sequels are not. I think the third sequel was pretty decent, but the first one I just think is so magically charming. It's just so
Hmm.
good. The soundtrack, and she's so good in it.
Hmm.
And Will, or not Will, Hugh Grant is so good in it.
Yeah.
Like as this sort of rake, this
Well,
loud,
that was like
like
the
this
start of his
charming.
like villain career, isn't it?
Yeah,
Because
because before
he's
that, like, yeah,
yeah. Before that, he was always like the perfect love interest.
he was like
Um,
this bumbling, shy, modest
yeah.
person. And this character, he's like super confident, super like sexy, mean person kind of,
Yeah.
but charming still, still
And
charming.
now he's gone sort of like even beyond like the quote unquote villain where he's a caricature of a villain but still a villain,
Yeah.
in a couple of things. I'm just like, what is this career path that you're taking right
I
now?
love his
Very
career path though. Honestly, I love
It's
it. Like he's
interesting.
so funny and always self-deprecating. He actually said in an interview, "Oh, I'm well past my love interest days. If you look at me now, like now I can only pull off really hammy villains or something." Like he's
Yeah.
just
I
the
don't
kind of
know. You see, the last time I saw him not be a weird villain was in The Man from Uncle, and he shows up at like a party in like a suit and whatever. I'm like, you could totally still be like the lead in like a rom-com or something. What are you talking about?
he
You're
could. He's
fine.
still very charming, even if he looks older. He still looks very good. But I
Yeah.
don't. Maybe his interest is not in there anymore. Like,
Yeah. He's just sick of it, I think. That's
yeah.
it.
I mean, it's probably more fun to be a villain.
Yeah, I would think so. You get to do maniacal laughs and be crazy. Why not? Why not?
He's a Oompa
Uh,
Loompa in the new Wonka movie, which I haven't seen.
I have seen it, and
How is it? Yeah.
nobody listening can see my face, but I think Austin's getting the point.
Well, I'm not that surprised. It didn't
Yeah.
look that good, but
Yeah, it
um,
really, my biggest problem with it was I was warned it was a musical, but I wasn't warned about how much of a musical it was. And then the song started, and I'm like, these songs suck.
no, no.
That was my biggest problem. Like, look, if you're gonna put me somewhere to watch a musical, the songs have to be good.
Right.
And I actually don't remember a single song. And I remember sitting there going like, what is this? What is this melody? What is this? What is happening? What are these words? They don't make any what? Like it just the songs were just bad and forgettable and so it just didn't do anything.
That's too bad.
Yeah.
I know. I was going to take Maddie to see that, and she refused. She didn't want to see it. I was like, okay.
Okay. I
But she
mean,
really wanted to see Mean Girls, and I said, it's also a musical. And she's like, I don't care. I want to see Mean Girls. So we saw that, and she
yeah.
loved it.
She loved it. That's good.
Because she already loved the original, because I pummeled it into her. Like,
Yeah.
I watched the original so many times. But, like, yeah. Have you seen it, the new one?
I have not because it came out after Wonka and I was like, I'm done with musicals for right now. Thanks.
I think it's fine. But I like musicals.
Yeah. I'm not a huge musicals fan. Um, so I was just like, I don't think I could sit through another one of these right now.
That's
We'll
fair.
see.
No one's going to make you. We won't force you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. I mean, I'm a very big fan of the movie. I even saw the stage play. Um, so I think I did pretty good.
Yeah. No,
Yeah.
you've done your time.
Yes. Yes, I think so. But circling back to Romancing the Stone, what are your final thoughts and recommendations on this movie?
I think everybody should watch this movie. If you like adventure movies or romantic comedies or both, I feel like, as we've been talking about adventure movies and romantic comedies, I think a lot of movies today owe a lot to this movie, especially very specific ones. Like I'd say The Lost City basically would not exist without Romancing the Stone. And like I think it's just a fun movie.
It is. Yeah, I absolutely agree with you because I think if somebody just you just want like a fun time and watch a fun movie and people have some fun, why not? It's
Yeah.
good. You're gonna have a good time, you know?
Totally.
That's
And there really aren't that many movies like that still. Like The
it.
Lost City came out, but there are really not very many action adventure romantic comedies.
No, there aren't. No, like a lot of that is those like as we were mentioning before with like 10 things I hate about you and stuff. It's that weird situational mishap or bet or something, and then you got to figure it out. You're like, no, let's go do something and
Yeah.
fall in love.
Yeah.
It's the way to do it.
I mean, there's rom-coms are coming back, but I don't think the adventure part is always there. Or there's adventure movies with romance, but I feel like this is a very specific thing.
Agreed. Agreed. Yeah, it's adventure rom-com, not a rom-com with some adventure or an adventure movie with a little romance in
Yeah.
it. No, it's really
Truly a
there.
hybrid, I
Yeah,
would say.
definitely. Well, Austin, I love talking to you.
Love talking to you too. And
Yeah.
this was fun. And thank you for letting me do this one. Like they were both, I really enjoyed both of these movies.
Yes, I love it when I have most episodes, I must admit, I enjoy rewatching the movies. There's always a couple here and there where I'm just like, oh, this is aged bad, or oh god, I don't like this anymore. Last week's episode was very difficult to get through. So I was very happy that I made a full switch and had a good time with these two movies.
That's good. That's
Yes.
good.
Yeah. Well, of course, we'll have to get you back next year for Valentine's Day.
Definitely, definitely down.
All right. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Well, that's it for this episode of Off My Shelf. Until next time, you can follow along on Instagram and Twitter at ohmyshelf, or you can send an email to ohmyshelf@gmail.com. This episode was produced and edited by me, Tracy, with original theme song by Ori Falconer. Like, subscribe, leave a comment wherever you listen to this podcast. Come back next time to see what falls off my shelf.